At my son's wedding, I heard my new daughter-in-law say, "We'll put his MOM in a nursing home and take that country house." The next day, I sold the country house, and the house I will tell you what really happened. First, let me thank you for watching Granny's Voice. Your support means everything to us. If you like our stories, please click subscribe. Tell us which city you're watching from in the comments. We love hearing from you. Today we want to say hello to Sheena Brown from London. Thank you for watching our stories. Now let me tell you what really happened. My name is Helen and I'm 70 years old. I have one son named Tommy. He's my whole world. His daddy died when Tommy was just 12, so it's been just me and him for a very long time. Tommy is 35 now and works as a teacher. He's always been such a good boy. He calls me every Sunday, takes me to the doctor, and fixes things around my house. At least, he did all those things until came along. Her name is Candy. Yes, really. Candy. Like the sweet stuff kids eat. But let me tell you, there was nothing sweet about this woman. Tommy met Candy at a coffee shop 6 months ago. She's 28 with long blonde hair and always wears bright red lipstick. The first time he brought her home, something felt wrong. "Mom, this is Candy," Tommy said, grinning like a little boy with a new toy. "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Peterson," Candy said in this fake sweet voice. But her eyes were cold. Really cold. We sat in my kitchen drinking tea. Candy kept looking around my house like she was counting everything. My grandmother's china. My husband's old watch collection. Even my wedding ring. "What a big house for just one person," she said. "Don't you get lonely?" "Not really," I answered. "Tommy visits all the time." Candy smiled, but it wasn't a real smile. "That's so sweet. But Tommy's a grown man now. He needs his own life." I felt my stomach twist. This woman had been dating my son for 1 week, and she was already trying to push me away. Over the next few months, everything changed. Tommy stopped calling on Sundays. He was always too busy to help with house repairs. When I asked him to dinner, he'd say, "Candy thinks we should have more couple time." Couple time. They'd been together for 3 months. One day, I drove past Tommy's apartment and saw Candy moving boxes inside. Big boxes. Expensive-looking boxes. Where did a waitress get money for all that stuff? Called Tommy that night. "Son, is Candy moving in with you?" "Yeah, Mom. We're really serious about each other." "But you barely know her, honey." "I know enough. And Mom, Candy thinks you're being too clingy. Maybe give us some space." Clingy. I raised this boy by myself for 23 years, and now I was clingy. The worst part was watching Tommy change. My happy, caring son became distant and cold. He started talking differently, using words Candy used. When I'd call, she'd answer his phone. "Tommy's in the shower," she'd say. "Can I take a message?" "Just tell him his mother called." "Sure thing, Mom," she'd say, making the words sound dirty. 3 months later, Tommy called with big news. "Mom, Candy and I are getting married." My heart sank. "That's wonderful, son. When?" "Next month. Small ceremony. Just close family." "Do you think this is rushing things?" "Mom, when you know. Candy says people our age can't waste time." "Our age?" Tommy was 35. Candy was 28. What was the big rush? The wedding was at Sunset Gardens, a pretty place with flowers everywhere. I wore my best blue dress and tried to smile. But inside, I felt like I was watching my son's funeral. Candy looked beautiful in white. Tommy looked nervous but happy. During the ceremony, I kept thinking about his father. How proud he would have been. How sad he'd be to see this fake woman taking advantage of our boy. After the ceremony, everyone went to the party room. There was music, dancing, and lots of food. I sat at a table by myself, watching Tommy and Candy dance. They looked so happy. Maybe I was wrong about her. Maybe she really loved him. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze. I was getting some water when I walked past the ladies' room. The door was open just a crack, and I could hear voices inside. "So when do we put the old lady away?" a woman asked. Soon, Candy answered. Tommy's already pulling back from her. Give it 6 more months, and we'll have him convinced she's losing her mind. What about her house? Beautiful place. Worth at least $400,000. Once she's in a nursing home, we'll sell it. Tommy won't fight us. He trusts me completely. And the country house. Candy laughed. It was an evil sound. That old cabin. Worth maybe $200,000. We'll sell that too. Between both houses, we'll have enough money to travel the world. My legs almost gave out. The country house was my most precious thing. My husband built it with his own hands before Tommy was born. I stood there shaking, listening to this monster plan my life like I was already dead. What if Tommy says no? The friend asked. He won't. I've been recording our conversations with his mom, making her sound crazy and mean. I've got hours of evidence that she's mentally unstable. You're evil, Candy. I'm smart. That old woman has been living the good life for too long. Time for her to pay up. They started walking toward the door, so I hurried away. But I heard Candy say one more thing that made me want to scream. By Christmas, Helen Peterson will be locked up somewhere safe, and we'll be rich. I walked back to my table on shaking legs. Tommy came over with a big smile. Mom, you look pale. Are you feeling okay? I looked at my beautiful boy. My only child. The baby I'd rocked to sleep every night after his daddy died. And I realized he had no idea what kind of person he'd just married. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just tired. Well, Candy wants to talk to you about Thanksgiving plans. She has some great ideas. Bet she did. That sounds lovely, dear. Tommy hugged me. I'm so happy, Mom. Candy makes everything better. Better for her, maybe. But I just smiled and said, I can see that, honey. For the rest of the party, I watched Candy like a hawk. She was so good at acting sweet and caring. When people talked to her, she'd touch their arm and listen with big, interested eyes. She played the perfect new wife. But I knew the truth now. The next morning I called my lawyer. His name is Mr. Davis, and he's been helping my family for 20 years. Helen, what can I do for you? I need to sell my houses. Both of them. Right away. Long pause. Both houses. Are you sure? Very sure. And I need it done fast. This is pretty sudden. Is everything okay? I thought about telling him the truth, but it sounded so crazy. My new daughter-in-law wants to steal my houses and put me in a crazy place. Who would believe that? I'm getting older, Mr. Davis. I want to simplify my life. What about Tommy? Doesn't he expect to inherit those properties? Tommy will get what I decide to give him. Right now, I need cash more than houses. Mr. Davis sighed. It's your property, Helen. You can do whatever you want with it. But selling both houses at once. You won't get top dollar. I don't care about top dollar. I care about speed. How fast? 2 weeks if possible. 2 weeks. Helen, that's almost impossible. Make it possible. Price them to sell quick. I'll take less money if it means faster sales. Another pause. Can I ask why you're in such a hurry? I thought about Candy's laugh. About her cold eyes. About the way she'd said, that old woman, like I was garbage. Let's just say I want to beat someone to the punch. All right. I'll make some calls. But Helen, think about this. These houses are your security. My security was about to be taken away anyway. At least this way, I'd be in control. While Mr. Davis worked on selling my houses, I did some detective work of my own. I wanted to know more about my new daughter-in-law. I called my friend Janet. She works at the bank where Candy used to have an account. Janet, I need a favor. Can you tell me anything about Candy Williams? Oh, honey, you don't want to know. Yes, I do. Janet lowered her voice. That girl bounced checks all over town. Had 3 different bank accounts. Always claiming someone stole her identity or made mistakes with her money. What else? She dated that rich widower Mr. Franklin last year. Remember him? After his wife died, he started acting strange. Giving Candy money, changing his will. His kids had to step in. My heart pounded. What happened? They proved she was manipulating him, taking advantage of his grief. She disappeared right after that. I hung up feeling sick. Candy wasn't just greedy. She was dangerous. She made a living stealing from people who trusted her. And now she had her claws in my son. That afternoon Tommy called. Mom, Candy and I want to have dinner with you tomorrow night. At your house. That sounds nice, dear. Great. Candy's really excited. She says you two need to bond more. But more like she wanted to look around my house and figure out what else she could steal. What time should I expect you? 6 o'clock. And Mom. Candy's bringing her camera. She wants to take pictures of all your antiques. For insurance purposes. Insurance purposes. Or more like selling purposes. The next morning Mr. Davis called with amazing news. Helen, I found buyers for both houses. Cash offers. They want to close this week. Both houses. Both houses. The main house sold for $350,000. The country house sold for $180,000. Total of $530,000. I almost cried with relief. When do we close? Tomorrow for the main house. Thursday for the country house. Perfect. Helen, are you sure about this? Once we close, there's no going back. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. That afternoon I started packing. Not everything. Just the important stuff. Photo albums. My husband's watch. My grandmother's jewelry. Things Candy would never get her greedy hands on. At 6 o'clock sharp, Tommy and Candy arrived for dinner. Candy carried a big camera and wore a bright smile. Helen, she squealed, giving me a fake hug. I'm so excited for our girls' night. Girls' night. I was 70 years old. Tommy, you look handsome, I said, hugging my son. Thanks, Mom. This is nice. Just the three of us. Candy walked around my living room like she owned it. Oh, this vase is gorgeous. And look at these pictures. Tommy, your mom has such beautiful things. She took pictures of everything. My china cabinet. My jewelry box. Even my husband's old recliner. For the insurance, she explained, winking at Tommy. That's very thoughtful, I said sweetly. We sat down to eat. I'd made Tommy's favorite meal, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans. During dinner, Candy started her act. Helen, Tommy and I were talking. This house is so big for just one person. Don't you ever feel scared being here alone? Not really. I've lived here for 30 years. But what if something happened? What if you fell down the stairs? Or had a heart attack? No one would find you for days. Tommy looked worried. Mom, she has a point. Maybe you should think about moving somewhere safer. Safer like where? Candy leaned forward. There are some wonderful retirement communities nearby. Beautiful places with nurses and activities. You'd make so many friends. I have friends. Of course you do. But at your age, it's important to have medical help close by. My age. There it was again. I feel fine, I said. Oh, I'm sure you do. But prevention is better than treatment, right? And think about it. If you sold this big house, you'd have money to pay for really nice care. Tommy nodded. That actually makes sense, Mom. I looked at my son. 3 months ago, he would have never suggested I sell my home. But Candy had been working on him, filling his head with worries and fears. I'll think about it, I said. Candy clapped her hands. Wonderful. I actually have some brochures in the car. Beautiful places with gardens and game rooms. Some even have beauty salons. She made it sound like a vacation resort instead of a place where old people went to die. After dinner, Candy took more pictures while Tommy and I did dishes. Mom, are you really okay with moving? Tommy asked quietly. Would it make you feel better if I did? Honestly, I worry about you being here alone. Especially as you get older. I was 70, not 90. I could still drive, cook, clean, and take care of myself just fine. Candy's been researching places, Tommy continued. She found some really nice ones. Not too expensive. Not too expensive because they'd be using my money to pay for it. She cares about you, Mom. She wants you to be safe and happy. Safe and out of the way, more like it. Candy came into the kitchen with her camera. I got some great shots. Your insurance company will love these detailed photos. I'm sure they will. After they left, I sat in my empty house and felt sad. Not about selling it. I was proud of that decision. But sad because my son couldn't see what was happening. Tommy used to be so smart about people. He could spot a fake person from miles away. But love made him blind. Or maybe it wasn't love. Maybe it was loneliness. The next day I closed on my main house. The buyers were a young family with 2 little kids. They were so excited to live there. It made me happy to know the house would be full of laughter again. I took the check, $350,000, and put it in a new bank account. An account Candy didn't know about. Thursday I closed on the country house. That was harder. My husband built that place with his own hands. We spent our honeymoon there. Tommy took his first steps on that old wooden porch. But I couldn't let Candy have it. By Friday, I had $530,000 in the bank and no houses. I felt free for the first time in months. I rented a small apartment across town. 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, but it was cozy and safe. Most importantly, it was mine. Saturday morning, Tommy called. Mom, I drove by your house yesterday. There was a sold sign in the yard. What's going on? I sold the house, dear. Silence. Then, you what? I sold both houses. The main house and the country house. Without telling me. I'd never heard Tommy yell at me like that. Ever. It's my property, son. I can sell it if I want to. But Mom, that was my inheritance. Our family home. Dad built that country house. Yes, he did. And now someone else will love it. I can't believe you did this without talking to me first. When you got married last week, did you ask my permission? That's different. Is it? You made a big life decision without asking me. I made a big life decision without asking you. I could hear Candy in the background asking questions. Tommy covered the phone, but I could still hear her voice getting louder and angrier. Tommy came back on the line. Mom, this is crazy. You can't just sell everything and disappear. I'm not disappearing. I moved to a nice apartment. I'm perfectly fine. What apartment? Where? Somewhere safe. Mom, you're scaring me. This isn't normal behavior. Normal behavior. I wondered where he learned that phrase. Tommy, I'm 70 years old. I've been making good decisions since before you were born. Trust me on this one. But the money, Mom. What are you going to do with all that money? There it was. The real question. Not are you okay? Or do you need help? Just, what about the money? I'm going to spend it on myself. Maybe travel. Maybe buy new clothes. Maybe get my hair done every week. That's not responsible. You should invest it. Save it for emergencies. Or save it for your wife to steal. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Dead silence. What did you just say? Nothing, honey. I'm just tired. No, you said something about Candy. What did you mean? I took a deep breath. Tommy, I love you. But I don't trust your wife. Mom. She's been planning this, son. She wants to put me in a nursing home and take my property. That's ridiculous. Candy loves you. Candy loves my money. I can't believe you're saying this. Candy's been nothing but kind to you. Has she? Or has she been studying me? Learning my weaknesses? Finding ways to make you think I'm losing my mind? Tommy was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Mom, maybe you should talk to someone. Doctor. This paranoia isn't healthy. Paranoia. Another word he'd learned from Candy. I'm not paranoid, Tommy. I'm careful. You sold both houses without telling anyone. That's not careful. That's concerning. After we hung up, I felt terrible. My son thought I was going crazy. But I knew the truth would come out eventually. It always did. 2 days later, Candy called me. Helen, we need to talk. Hello, Candy. How are you? Cut the act. Tommy told me what you did. Selling the houses was cruel and selfish. Finally, the real Candy. It was my property to sell. Those houses were Tommy's future, his security. How could you do that to your own son? Easy. I signed some papers. This isn't funny, Helen. Tommy is devastated. He can't sleep. He can't eat. You've destroyed him. Have I? Or are you upset because your plans fell through? Silence. Then Candy laughed. But it wasn't her fake sweet laugh. It was cold and mean. You know. I know. How long have you known? Since your wedding day. I heard you talking in the bathroom. More silence. Well, it doesn't matter now, Candy said. Tommy thinks you're losing your mind. And after this house-selling stunt, everyone will believe it. Maybe. But I still have my money. Not for long. Tommy and I are gonna have you evaluated. Declared mentally incompetent. Then we'll take control of your finances. Good luck with that. Candy's voice turned vicious. You stupid old woman. You think you're so smart, but you just made everything easier for us. Now we have proof you're not thinking clearly. Proof of what? Erratic behavior, poor judgment, paranoid delusions about family members. Any judge will see you're not capable of handling money. My heart started beating fast. Could they really do that? Tommy loves me, Candy continued. He trusts me. And right now, he's more worried about your mental health than your bank account. Tommy's not stupid. No, but he's loyal. And guilty. He feels terrible about how you've been treated. So when I suggest getting you professional help, he'll agree. Anything to make you better. She was right. Tommy would do anything if he thought it would help me. You can't prove I'm crazy. Can't I? Helen, you sold 2 houses in 1 week without telling your family. You moved without giving anyone your address. You're accusing your son's wife of ridiculous things. That sounds pretty crazy to me. After Candy hung up, I sat in my small apartment feeling scared. What if she was right? What if they could convince people I was losing my mind? I needed help. But who would believe me? Then I remembered something. Janet at the bank had mentioned Mr. Franklin's kids. They'd stopped Candy before. Maybe they could help me. I looked up their phone number and called. Hello, is this Robert Franklin? Yes. Who's this? My name is Helen Peterson. Your father dated a woman named Candy Williams last year. Long pause. What about her? She married my son. Now she's trying to do to me what she did to your father. Oh no. Are you serious? Very serious. Can we meet? I need advice. Robert Franklin met me at a coffee shop the next day. He was about 40, with kind eyes and a worried expression. Mrs. Peterson, tell me everything. I told him about the wedding conversation. About Candy's research into my finances. About her plans to have me committed. Robert nodded grimly. That's exactly what she did to Dad. Made him think his family didn't care. Convinced him to cut us out of his will. By the time we figured out what was happening, she'd already taken $50,000. How did you stop her? We hired a private investigator. Found out she'd done this before. In 3 different states. 3 states. Minnesota, Texas, and Colorado. Always the same pattern. Target lonely older people with money. Gain their trust. Isolate them from family. Then steal everything. My hands were shaking. What happened to the other victims? One man lost his entire retirement savings. A woman lost her house. Another man ended up in a nursing home while Candy spent his money on vacations. Did anyone stop her? We tried. But she's smart. She covers her tracks. Changes her name. Moves to new towns. What's her real name? We never found out. But we have files on her. Pictures, documents, testimonies from her other victims. I felt a spark of hope. Would you help me? Absolutely. But Mrs. Peterson, you need to be careful. If Candy thinks you're onto her, she'll move fast. What do you mean? She'll convince your son to have you committed before you can expose her. Once you're locked up in a facility, no one will believe anything you say. My blood went cold. How long do I have? Not long. Maybe days. Robert gave me copies of everything they had on Candy. Photos of her with different men. Bank records showing stolen money. Even a police report from Texas. Her real name might be Catherine Willis, he said. But she's used at least 6 fake names. That night I made copies of everything. I hid one set in my apartment, mailed one set to Mr. Davis, and put one set in a safety deposit box. The next morning Tommy called. Mom, Candy and I want to take you to lunch today. We're worried about you. That's sweet, dear, but I'm busy today. Doing what? Apartment hunting. I want to find something bigger. Mom, we really need to talk. In person. I could hear the worry in his voice. And something else. Determination. Is Candy there with you? Yes. She's been helping me understand what you're going through. What I was going through. Like I was sick. Tommy, can you come alone? Just you and me. Candy thinks we should stick together as a family. Course she did. Please, son. I need to tell you something important. Something about your wife. Mom, this paranoia has to stop. You're starting to scare me. I'm not paranoid. I have proof. Proof of what? That Candy isn't who she says she is. That she's done this before. That she's been planning to steal from us since the day you met her. Long pause. Mom, you need help. Real help. Tommy, please listen to me. I love you, Mom. But I can't watch you destroy yourself with these crazy ideas. The line went dead. An hour later there was a knock on my door. Through the peephole I saw Tommy, Candy, and a man in a suit. Mrs. Peterson, this is Dr. Wilson, the man said when I opened the door. Your family is concerned about your well-being. I'm fine. May we come in? Just to talk. I knew if I said no, they'd find another way. So I let them in. Dr. Wilson looked around my small apartment. This is quite a change from your house. I like small spaces now. Candy spoke up. Helen, we're worried about your recent behavior. Selling your houses so suddenly. Moving without telling anyone. These accusations against me. They're not accusations. They're facts. Dr. Wilson made notes on his clipboard. Mrs. Peterson, your family tells me you believe your daughter-in-law is trying to steal your money. I don't believe it. I know it. How do you know? I looked at Tommy. My sweet boy looked so worried and confused. Because I heard her say it. When did you hear this? At the wedding. She was talking to her friend in the bathroom. Dr. Wilson wrote more notes. And what exactly did you hear? I repeated the conversation word for word. About putting me in a nursing home. About selling my houses. About having me declared mentally incompetent. When I finished, Dr. Wilson looked at Candy. How do you respond to these allegations? Candy's eyes filled with tears. Doctor, this is exactly what I was afraid of. Helen's been having these paranoid episodes for weeks. She thinks everyone's out to get her. That's not true, said. Helen, honey, Candy said in her fake sweet voice. Last week you called me at 3 a.m, screaming that I was poisoning Tommy against you. I had called her, but not at 3 a.m. And I hadn't screamed. You're twisting everything. Tommy stepped forward. Mom, you did call. You were very upset. You said things that didn't make sense. What things? You said Candy was recording your conversations. That she was planning to have you committed. That she'd done this to other people. But all of those things were true. Dr. Wilson nodded. Mrs. Peterson, paranoid delusions are common in people your age. Especially after major life changes like losing a spouse. My husband died 10 years ago. Grief can resurface at any time. I realized what was happening. They were going to have me committed right now. Today. I want to call my lawyer, I said. Of course, Dr. Wilson said. But first, let's talk about getting you some help. I don't need help. I need you to listen to me. We are listening, Candy said. But Helen, these stories about me. They're not real. I ran to my bedroom and grabbed the files Robert had given me. Look at these. I spread the papers on my kitchen table. Photos of Candy with other men. Bank records. Police reports. Tommy stared at the papers. Mom, where did you get these? From Robert Franklin. His father dated Candy last year. She stole $50,000 from him. Dr. Wilson examined the documents. Mrs. Peterson, these could be fake. It's not uncommon for people with paranoid delusions to create elaborate evidence to support their beliefs. Call Robert Franklin. Ask him yourself. But I could see it in their faces. They thought I was crazy. They thought I'd made everything up. Helen, Candy said gently, I understand you're scared. Change is hard. But accusing me of these horrible things. It's not fair. Tommy, I pleaded. Remember how you used to be able to spot fake people? Remember how good you were at reading people? Tommy looked torn. Mom, I want to believe you. But this evidence. It seems far-fetched. It's not far-fetched. Call the police in Texas. Check her background. Do something. Dr. Wilson closed his clipboard. Mrs. Peterson, I think it would be best if you came with us for evaluation. No. It's just for a few days. To make sure you're safe. I looked around my small apartment. At my son who didn't believe me. At the woman who'd stolen his heart and was about to steal my life. If I go with you now, I said quietly, will you promise to investigate my claims? Of course, Dr. Wilson said. He was lying. I could see it in his eyes. But I was trapped. If I fought them, they'd say I was violent and dangerous. If I ran, they'd say I was confused and lost. So I packed a small bag and went with them. But I wasn't giving up. Because sometimes the best way to win a war is to let your enemy think they've already won. And Candy had no idea what was coming for her. Thanks for listening to my story, dear friends. Don't forget to subscribe and tell me in the comments what you would have done in my situation. Next week, I'll tell you exactly how I turned the tables on Candy and got my son back. Your voice matters, and I love hearing from you.